Hi guys, PJ here. Today I'm back with another Fallout 76 video. It's 2023, it's the end of January, legacies have just gone bye-bye. So I'm looking at the top 5 weapons in my opinion that will be the most useful to you. If you're an ex-legacy user, or maybe you're new to the game, you're going to sort of want to know what's worth rolling, what's worth putting modules into, resources into, unlocking plans to modify them. And that's the big deal, not wasting your time. We're going to kick off at number 1 with a railway rifle of all things. There are good and bad on most of these weapons. The railway rifles benefit, irrelevant of pretty much which spec it is, whether it's junkies or instigating or whatever. The good thing with these is the ammo is super cheap to make. Okay, it's just steel, railway spikes. The negative on that is they're quite heavy. The other good thing is they are very, very powerful. There's a negative to that as well though, because they're pretty much a VATS only use. You're not going to run around shooting this thing without VATS. The recoil on them can be quite excessive. The other negative can be the fact that you have to reload them a lot. 10 bullets, clip goes fast, it's over quickly. You can counteract that though by getting a quad version of it. A quad version can down a Milo Queen in sort of one clip and it's gone if it's the right spec. So there is a possibility with that. Personally, it doesn't bother me too much, keep reloading. You know, if you've got a Junkies building a Junkies one of these with explosive bullets, you're going to do well. This particular one being an instigating one. Now, it's not really the spec of it being instigating that's the big deal. The big deal is it's modified with an automatic receiver. Okay, so fully auto piston receiver on it and it's explosive. If you can get those two things on a railway rifle, you're pretty much laughing. It's unlocking the auto receiver mod that can be the difficult part. The way to do that is craft the railway rifle, break it down a lot of times. If you don't own the plan for it, basically go and buy the plan. It should be available in White Springs. Sometimes people have it in vendors, etc. So overall, a very good weapon, especially for newer players because the resources aren't intensive. You're not needing gunpowder and stuff to make the ammo. So that's why that's my number 1 choice for this game. Don't get me wrong, this has its limits. It's not going to be very effective against Scorch Beast Queen, etc. or even Earl. It can be okay at Earl, but when stuff's in flight, high above you, you're going to struggle with the range on it slightly. It's good for close-ups, and as you can see, it decimates super mutants and anything that you're fairly near to. Let's move on to the next weapon on my list. Yep, it's the Gatling gun. This is a great all-rounder for a lot of builds and a lot of specs. The reason I like this so much is they're normally pretty powerful. Again, we've got explosive shot on this particular one, and we also have the speedy receiver on it. Now that's a pretty big deal because otherwise they're very slow, very ponderous, and you take a while to do the damage. But with the explosive shot, the speedy receiver, they're pretty good. The other thing is you get an awful lot of bullets for your money, if you know what I mean. The bullets that these use are very cheap to craft. They're crafted in bulk, so if you've got all the ammo, perk cards and everything, you make an awful lot of them out of the amount of resources it uses. So yes, it uses gunpowder and stuff, but you get a lot for your money. So you can soon end up with 10, 20,000 bullets for this thing very, very easily. And obviously if you're doing daily ops, you can pick the bullets back up off the floor and recoup very quickly. This one's pretty well modded here. We've got the long barrel and the handle and everything, which does steady it. It can be used on some of the bigger stuff, such as Scorch Beast Queen, Earl, or even the new Nuka enemy. But generally speaking, it's an all-rounder. So again, I'd be using this at normal events, or if you're low on ammo and other things. It's a good backup gun. It does pretty much everything you could ask of it. If you can roll one of these with a decent spec, you're pretty much laughing. You're not wasting your time. So, although not the most glamorous weapon out there, it's certainly pretty good, and at the moment it fits in pretty well with the fat cowboy film at the Nuka World Show. So there is that, I suppose. You could always do a cowboy themed character maybe around this. I don't know. Anyway, I digress. Guys, I've used this gun for a long time. It's a very good backup. I recommend you roll one of these. Keep it on you. Okay, so that brings me to the third one, and by now you're probably thinking, well, is Fixer or Handmade going to be in this list? Yes, Handmade is in this list, but Fixer is not, and I'll tell you why shortly. For a Handmade, we're going for, again, one with explosive bullets with the correct perk cards to back that up. And it depends on your character. This character's a junkies, so we've got a junkies one. A two-shot would be also ideal, for example. A vampire's explosive is very useful if you don't want to run around with loads of stim packs, which can weigh an awful lot. You could have a vampire of most of these guns and save yourself a lot of trouble with stim packs, because obviously that drains energy from the enemies and gives it to you, so you never need to stim pack. Anyway, the downside of a handmade is frequent reloading. They're very good with the sight on, telescopics. They're also very good at reasonably long range. The recoil on them is pretty good as well if you do the right mods. Again, if you use a stinging magazine on it, that gives you more ammo capacity and also armor piercing. Quite a lot of mods to unlock though, so you're going to have to break a lot of these down to get all the mods for them if you're new to the game. It's sort of the default weapon. A lot of players use this, and for very good reason. Accuracy, decent amount of damage from it. You know, if you're doing blooded, for example, you can get a lot out of one of these. But even as a junkit, you know, this thing will down most stuff in one clip. Not a bad gun all round. 5.56s. You don't get as many for your money as you do the Gatling gun, but they are a pretty powerful bullet and it's nice to have. Other downside is weight. They're quite a weighty gun when they've been modified, so you are going to be lugging this thing around with you. But if you want to use it like a sniper, telescopic sights, job's a good one. Next up, we're on to the big guns. Gatling plasma. Yes, if you're a legacy user, they're not explosive anymore, but they're still a very good gun. The example here is a two-shot. It's not really that modified, but it does have a beam focuser for accuracy. You probably know yourselves by now, you've seen these at Scorched Beast Queen events, etc. They will down stuff pretty damn well. If you're using these with buffs, perk cards, etc., you can get a lot of damage out of them. Frequently a two-shot, when using the cards correctly and other buffs, you're going to get 160, 170 damage out of it. Think how fast it fires and you're onto a good one. Now, as of recording this, bearing in mind this is Fallout we're talking about here, there's a bit of a bug. At the moment, when they removed legacies, they've actually wrecked the amount of ammo that these things store per clip. Normally you'd get 350 shots out of a plasma core, for example. But at the moment, it's only giving the amount of shots of the amount of plasma cores you've got. Like I say, it's Fallout, it's full of problems, so it's really hard to demonstrate how powerful these guns are when the game's bugged. We're waiting for a fix. We've waited a few days at the moment. Let's hope they hurry up with it. A lot of people sort of prefer the Gatling laser guns, so I'm just going to touch on that quickly. Gatling laser guns have a lower damage, but normally a faster fire rate on them. It's a bit of a preference thing as to what you like. Personally, I've had more luck with Gatling plasmas for large, heavy enemies than I have Gatling lasers. It's a preference thing. Sometimes Gatling lasers, sometimes Gatling plasmas. One thing's for sure, if you've got a vampire's version, you're not going to be dying in a rush. There's two negatives though to either one of them. One, they both have to spin up before they start shooting. Now, that can be a bit of a problem if you're in a rush. The other thing is you can't stim pack while the gun's spinning down. So if you stopped firing, took your finger off the trigger, it'll have a spin down period, and basically you're unable to stim pack until it's finished its animation and finished its spin down. Can get you killed. Been there, sort of done that with it. But nevertheless, brilliant guns. Let's move on to the very last one. Coming in at number 5 for me, yeah, it's the Tesla weapon, but in a certain configuration, and that configuration is quad fully auto. Okay, if it's not quad, it's not fully auto, not really interested. Now, this weapon may surprise a lot of you. You may be thinking, you said Fixer earlier. Personally, not a fan of the Fixer. I sort of see it as a competition against Handmade. Fixer seems to have a lot more recoil and rebound. I've just never got on with them in comparison to a Handmade, so that's why it's not included on my personal list. The reason this one's included, simple. If you're XP hunting in the game, and by that I mean a lot of the new events where there's a lot of mobs, Radiation Rumble, you can hit every single mob in sight with it without hardly aiming the thing. It's not an all-out devastating weapon, no. I mean, it's pretty good. It will kill stuff, as you can see. But if you've got a room full of mobs, you will tag every single creature in there and get the XP from the kill when other people have finished it, or if you finish it, from all of them. Now think about that for a moment. If you want to level up, especially if you're newish to the game, rolling a quad one of these, so you're not reloading it literally every 2 minutes, is very good. Negatives. Unfortunately, after some patches a while ago, the durability of these things is very much in question. So that's a problem. Repairs. Perk cards for this video, I'm showing you right now what I'm using. It's your standard issue commando sort of thing with some heavy perk cards that I normally swap in and out. Guys, I hope this was helpful for you or for any new players out there or ex-legacy players out there. Thanks a lot for watching. Bye for now.